This one was, well, today's Family Guy review is going to be of a very special episode. I say that like it actually means anything anymore, because every Family Guy episode that I review is one of their very heartwarming episodes. Because ever since Not All Dogs Go to Heaven, they're almost all universally heartwarming. It's almost like a show about sadistic people being assholes to each other shouldn't try to be funny. They try to make an episode about how men can be sexually harassed, and they end up saying that it's okay for a woman to rape a man if she's God. They try to argue for atheism by saying that God doesn't exist because God is ugly and she has a shit life. They try to make Meg seem strong in See or Seashell Party, but they say that she's only strong because she's a lightning rod for abuse, and that it's a good thing to be sexually harassed. Then in the episode immediately after, in their special about domestic abuse, they say that you're not really a woman. So many people tell me that Family Guy is just a comedy, and I should leave it alone because it's just trying to make people laugh. That's all it's doing. Family Guy never hurt no one. But in almost every episode that I reviewed, it goes on and on about how it wants to be taken seriously. The only exceptions are what? Herbie the Love Sore and Fresh Herbie. And if you want to judge those as a comedy, well, no, just no, they're fucking awful. And Herbie the Love Sore tried to have its heartwarming moments anyway. The reason that Family Guy can't do heartwarming moments is because it's okay for a woman to rape a man if she's lonely. All of its characters are horrible. I don't mean that they're all horribly written, although many of them are. I mean that they're all horribly written. For some reason, they keep writing the hero Quagmire, who doesn't give a shit about what the other person thinks of the scenario, and is the epicenter of like every STD known to man. Yeah, they keep writing him as the hero and the person we should give a shit about. We should give a shit about Peter, even though he wants to have sex with Chris, who is a teenager. A young teenager. Let me put it this way. If Jeff wasn't killed in his debut episode, in his second episode, we'd be delving into a heartwarming story about the fact that he wants to have sex with Chris, who is a teenager. You cannot make Peter Griffin sympathetic. No matter how much he cries, no matter how much the world makes him suffer, no matter how much he acts like a toddler. Because he's a danger and an asshole and an abuser, and the world would honestly be better without him. And every scene he's in constantly proves this. But he's nothing compared to the worst character on the show, Hebert the Pervert. I made it known, Hebert the Pervert is one of my personal most hated characters of all time. If not my most personal hated character of all time. And season 12 was definitely not a good season for this character. In the life of Hebert the Pervert, they killed him off in one of the most forced displays of sadness that I had ever seen. Then 2 episodes later, they brought him back, and the rest of the season would go on to show that that was the wrong choice in every feasible way. Not killing him off, but bringing him back. Soon after being brought back from the dead, he gave his best friend in the whole wide world herpes. Because a fan asked him to. But that's okay, at least that was a far better display than his behavior in today's episode. Hebert the Pervert is a bad father. The episode starts with Peter and friends hunting. Because Peter is a dumbass, he accidentally shoots Quagmire with a gun. Because he accidentally left his safety off.
Yeah, see Quagmire? This is a gun without a safety. Quite the difference, huh?
Damn it, Peter!
And Peter's subplot is about him trying to prove the safety was on. But let's talk about the real episode. It starts pretty awfully, actually. You see, it starts with a plain view of an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean
an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean an actual piece of shit. Sorry, I mean
an actual piece of shit.
Sorry, I mean Brian Griffin. He starts this episode pretending to be a writer.
A writer who inherits a magic typewriter that writes for him. But then it turns out the typewriter is
an actual piece of shit.
Totally makes sense. Oh, crap. It's Dylan.
Dylan? Your son? I haven't heard you mention him in ages.
Yeah, I decided to step away from the whole situation.
If you didn't hate this character before, well, you're in for a downward spiral, I tell you what. And if you've got your own family issues of any kind, I can imagine that this episode is legitimately hard to watch in its own right. Brian wants to ignore the call because he's an asshole, but Stewie answers it for him because he's an asshole. Brian continues to try to ignore Dylan because he's an asshole, but Stewie won't let him.
Coming up, we'll meet a Filipino man who actually has a grown-up haircut.
Then maybe afterwards, Family Guy will be able to tell a joke that goes beyond lol, 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 stereotype. The stereotype, quote-unquote, racial humor doesn't offend me. I just find it incredibly lazy. It's like a little kid's first attempt to offend me. They never do anything with these jokes. Brian says that there's nothing to be gained from trying to reconnect with his son, because he is a sociopath. Like, I actually am not joking when I say that Brian Griffin is a sociopath. He has all the textbook symptoms. Let's run down the list. Dylan is apparently starring in a Disney sitcom that's come to Quahog, because Disney is known to film many of their sitcoms in Rhode Island, where they actually have studios and have the connections to put together a live-action television show. This immediately gets Brian interested in his son's life. Then Stewie follows up a joke with this.
Oh, that dog of mine. That's Mike Drunkbeater. Look it up on the internet.
Family Guy, we've been Family Guy for years. See your you laugh at me. You laugh at me.
We now return to
Family Guy.
Brought to you without commercial interruption by Mazda.
I love Susie more. Give me a Susie. Uncle Pete is gonna give you a raspberry.
Peter, that's not where you do a raspberry.
This scene is totally pointless.
Joe Pesci thought we were talking to him because his name is Joe. Oh, you don't know who Joe Pesci is because you're 14.
Okay, I am going to take this scene, and I am going to save it for later. Back on set, Brian immediately gets to work introducing himself.
Hi, guys. Yes, I am that Brian Griffin. You probably have my novel.
Together. Meanwhile, Joe picks Quagmire's friendship over Peter's friendship because Peter is an asshole and he deserves to lose everything that he's ever had. Peter also ends up giving an infant a blowjob.
I love Susie more. Give me a Susie. Uncle Pete is gonna give you a raspberry.
Peter, that's not where you do a raspberry.
Hold on, other kids. Maybe they just recognize that nothing can protect us from the tedium of our mundane lives. Aren't we all on bikes without helmets? Sometimes I just want to put this gun in my mouth.
So this gets Brian fired because he doesn't seem to realize that he's right on The Walking Dead. Brian goes to complain to Dylan.
Oh, hey, by the way, are we all getting those backpacks with the name of the show on?
But Brian isn't the only one who is sad for being an asshole, even though he has no intention of stopping being an asshole.
Hey, Lois, if I was gonna kill myself, do I slit my wrists this way or this way?
Sideways for attention, long way for results. Meg is right.
Okay, I'll be in the garage.
Originally, I wanted to fuck.
Oh, you don't know who Joe Pesci is because you're 14. Because you're 14. 14.
Zach comes in and gives a heartwarming speech to Dylan that I am going to tear to shreds.
But how do I know he won't just hurt me again?
You don't.
Fuck this episode and fuck Brian Griffin.